A lot of people, black, white, Mexican, young or old, fat or skinny, have a problem being true to themselves. They have a problem looking in the mirror and looking directly into their own souls. Around the reason I am who I am today is because I can look directly into my face and find my soul.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy AyeQ back with another reaction video. And today we're going to do a reaction from a video that one of my loyal supporters sent to me. All right, so let's jump right into the video.
Now women are saying, I don't just need a man that's a provider, because at first men were the providers. Now they're saying, I want something that men are less likely to give, which is emotional intelligence. Now I can overlook the money. I'm out earning you or whatever, but I can't be with a guy that I feel like I can't have conversation with. And so that's the part that's heartbreaking. And so here on the Dear Future Wifey podcast, I accept those statistics, and then I say, how can we do it better? How can we get men to start building more emotionally? We always been programmed to just be the earners, to be the providers, but how can we provide outside of finances? Not saying in lieu of, but saying, yes, go get your money, go do what you need to do, but don't make your value based upon your income.
Right.
And so what are you finding in yourself in these dating? Let me ask you this. Do you desire marriage?
If I died tomorrow and I wasn't a wife, it wouldn't bother me.
No, because you'd be dead.
Yeah.
So when people say stuff like that,
but let me tell you why.
Of course
because
gonna bother you dead.
No, because there's some people that are like, if I don't get married, it's the biggest
None of
regret.
that matters once you die.
No, but you got to hear me out, because I felt like becoming who I was born to be. So let me talk about people always say engagements don't count, and my engagement changed my life, and it helped.
Look, here's the reality, fellas. The worst thing a man could try to do is please a woman. No matter what you do, brother, a woman will never be pleased. Okay? So don't matter if you're rich, if you got a lot of money, she's gonna start to complain. You're not spending enough time with me. If you spend all of your time with a woman, she's gonna start to complain. You don't go out enough. You don't hang out with your friends. You're too sensitive. You don't make enough money. The bottom line is this, bro. You can't win. That's why the best thing a man could do in life is to focus on himself. And when a woman is for you, she's going to get on your team and she's going to follow your lead. It's that simple. But once you're trying to, okay, well, let me become more emotional. Let me become more sensitive. Once you start being a slave to a woman, you are always going to lose. Why? Because she's going to start to lose interest in you subconsciously.
Me understand me, because I feel like most women we're sold the Cinderella story of marriage, right? So when I was young, I was sold the Cinderella story, like, oh, you meet somebody, Prince Charming. So I did what we recommend girls do. I went to college, I went to Hampton University, got into a relationship. After college, we got engaged. And I remember, it's so funny, my mother, everybody was happy. My daddy said to me, he was like, you are not ready to be anybody's wife. My dad knew. He said, you are so ambitious that you're going to have to give up everything of who you really are to be this man's wife. And I remember being so mad at my dad, because I was like, I would think you would be happy, right? But he knew me. So one thing I loved about my engagement is that me and my ex-fiance, we took it serious. And we were like, if we get married, it's me and you until Jesus.
Yep.
Like, no matter what, if we do this, we end this. And having that pact in the beginning caused us both to really take this as a serious thing. What we learned was we had a real love for each other, but we had different life plans. And somebody was going to have to give up their life plan in order for the family to work. Now, at this time, I'm young, I'm in my 20s.
Sad. So right there, she refused to allow that man to lead. She refused to sacrifice. She refused to just be a wife, just be a supporter. Instead, she wanted to do her own thing. And fellas, what she actually did that man a favor. And her father saw right through her. He knew that she wasn't trying to be a wife. He knew that his daughter was just wasting that man time because obviously he was a good man. So she passed up on a good man for the streets. And in my eyes, she was just wasting that man time because she never was into him in the first place. Because fellas, if a woman is into you, fam, she's gonna allow you to lead her. Trust.
20s, I'm starting off in radio. You know, I'm a graduate from Hampton University, but my first radio job, I made $7 an hour. And I'll never forget, I got a full-time job in Buffalo, New York, and they wanted me to sign a 3-year contract. I wouldn't sign the contract. So they said, okay, well, we're just going to just let you go. It was December 20th. 5 days later, I didn't know, but my boyfriend then was planning to propose. And he proposed on Christmas Day. So I got fired and then I got engaged on Christmas Day. So I didn't have a job. So I ended up moving with him. This is how my Chicago run began because he was an electrical engineer living in Illinois. So I ended up moving to Illinois. So we had spent a year-long distance while I was working in Buffalo. So the first 2 weeks was amazing, right? Because it's like, okay, we're here. It's like honeymoon time. After that 2 weeks, he's going to work every day. I have no financial issues. Like he has a reliable career, probably still has that job with that company at a higher level now. I moved in with him, so it was no extra bills. All I had to do was just get married and pop out some babies. And I said, this is not my life. This is not what God birthed me to become. And I knew I wasn't a housewife. I was like, I would not be happy as just somebody's wife and having their kids. Like there's just so much inside of me. And I decided I'm going to pursue this career that has no guarantee. Like literally, radio is probably one of the most unreliable careers you can bet on.
Yeah,
but it was like I had to bet on me. And for a long time, I remember I used to be like, I chose my career over love. And the truth of the matter is I didn't choose my career over love. I chose who I am. Like
Facts. She's right. She chose the streets. That's just the reality, bro. Because fellas, to be honest with you guys, the best place a man can find his wife is in college. After you leave college, bro, it's going to be tough out here. It's going to be tough. Now, you might find a wife at your job, but it's going to be tough, bro. It's going to be tough. And the fact that this man proposed to her after college and she turned that down for the streets just shows the type of woman that she is. And like I said, she did that man a favor. Even her father knew. Think about that, bro. Even her father knew the type of woman that she is. Till this day, she's for the streets. Look at what she does for a living. She hosts a show for birds, for women that are similar to her. Yeah, we are chasing after the men who are making 6 figures. You left a good man. Think about how crazy that is, bro. The man had a good career. He had a good job. He was providing. He was protecting. He was doing what he's supposed to do as a man. And he thought that he had a good woman. But whole time, she was for the streets. It happens. It happens.
This is who I am, whether I was making $1 off it or not. This is who Kendra is.
So why you say it had to be a choice though? So what changed? What made it not work?
So what happened? Okay, I'm in radio. I ended up getting a job in Philly.
Oh, you had
so
to relocate.
I got fired from this job in Chicago. So now I had to relocate to Philly. And we were already kind of rocky because we were discovering, like, at that time, he was ready to like have children and get married, like, because he didn't want to be an old father, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not having your child until we get married. And so we were learning, like, okay, we don't really have the same alignment for life goals. And I knew if I took the job in Philly, it was a wrap. There was no way we were going to be able to survive another long distance relationship. And that's what happened. And I moved to Philly and our relationship did not survive.
How long y'all?
Yo, just say that you was just wasting that man time. Just say that. These women have a hard time keeping it real, bro. Because that's all she was doing the whole time. She was just using that man and at the same time trying to get her career started. Fellas, these women will use y'all, bro, as a crutch. I keep telling y'all. A bird main objective, I gotta keep it real. A bird main objective is to find a sucker, drain his energy, power up, and return back to the streets. And that's exactly what she's describing right now. The signs are always there.
Y'all together from the day that y'all committed?
We were in college. So we started in college. And then I want to say we met probably like my sophomore year in college. You have, it's one of those, you together, then you're not together.
Yeah.
Then after, our engagement was like 3 years. Once we got engaged, it was like a 3-year process. So by this time, we really are just, because the thing is, he wasn't a bad guy and there wasn't like infidelity. It's different when you learn that, oh, I really love you, but we're just not on the same life plan.
Yes.
That's it's easy to leave a person if they cheat on you,
Yep.
if they're disrespectful. But when the love is real, but the life assignment isn't aligned, that's harder. So, but I had to go for what I know, right? And I took the job in Philly, and then that dissolved. And I remember I was really, really sad. But he ended up moving on. But I share this story because some would say this is like 20 years ago. And it's like, okay, 20 years later, you're still not married. You're still not a wife. Would you make that same like bet? Would you make the same decision?
And I would say you would.
Absolutely, yeah. I would have made it a day earlier because I had to choose me. Like, I am not going to suppress who I am just to be somebody's wife. Like, you asked me outside, you said, am I somebody's wife? I said, I don't know. And I'm okay with that. Like, if I don't get married, it will not.
No, tell them how that conversation came up.
Because he writing letters to ghosts. Because seriously writing letters to ghost child. Now, I thought we stopped having imaginary friends when we was in kindergarten, but now Latirius, he said, I'm about to write the letter to my invisible wife. I said, your wife?
I did not say
okay,
invisible.
he said to his wife, I said, the invisible woman you ain't never... personally, I don't think Latirius want to be nobody's husband, but, I think we might get to that part in the podcast. And I said, you writing letters to everybody know this woman but you. You done sat here, you've been around this world, around all these sensational women. He ain't trying to be nobody's husband, child. But,
I told her
that's my own theory.
I said she is not imaginary. She's a real person.
Yeah, everybody know but you. How everybody know your wife but you?
Because if we meet each other and it aligns and we say I do, then she became my wife. So she wouldn't be imaginary no more, would she? Okay,
this is your interview, so I'm going to respect that.
Talk.
Okay, but I have a question for you.
We can have a conversation.
What are you looking for? Because like most people don't have the opportunity that you have. You have the opportunity to associate with so many women, right? Which I really feel like is your disadvantage because we're having so many choices. It's like you're trying to make this perfect person. It's like, ooh, I like her. She speaks well. Ooh, but I like her because she fine. Ooh, I like her. Her hair real. Ooh, I like her. She go to church the most. So you got like 5 different pieces of a woman and you're trying to make it that one. So it's like, to me, I think your challenge is, focusing on one woman only and rocking out life with her when you have so many options. And I feel like that's the disadvantage. That's
Wow. Just look at the way she thinks. That's not a disadvantage. That's a weakness. The flesh is weak. And here's the reality, fellas. If you're a man out there who is successful in whatever you do, a lot of birds will be attracted to your energy. That's just natural. But if you're really looking for a virtuous woman and you find that, once you find that woman, you wouldn't focus on all the other birds out there because they are just birds. You see what I'm saying? They don't benefit your life. And if a man don't know if a woman benefits his life or not, he just got some work to do still. He got to work on himself. But she's thinking like, yo, you got all these options, so I know it got to be hard for you to pick one. That's how she's thinking because that's the type of woman that she is. But a real virtuous woman knows that once a man finds a quality, it's in the Bible. A man who finds a wife finds a good thing. Why? Because you got a bunch of women out here like her. These are your everyday types of women. They are all over. Birds. Birds are all over, bro. Without one quality woman, it's going to be hard to find. And once you find her, bro, you wouldn't even want to engage. You wouldn't even be impressed by the birds because she's going to fulfill your life. And women like her wouldn't understand that because this is a woman who is empty on the inside. That's why she's so superficial on the outside. And as men, you got to pay attention to these things, bro. She's chasing flesh. She's chasing a man with money. She's chasing it. That's why her inside is going to be empty. When you meet women like this, bro, with fake hair, face filled with makeup, I'm telling you, bro, once you get around these women, you will realize how empty on the inside they are. They lack value, bro. It's sad.
your challenge.
So my challenge is this. My challenge is, well, thank you for your assessment. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Kendra G. I'm not a person that gets caught up on quantity. And so it's because like I go to these events, host these events everywhere. I go to my hotel and by myself. I don't get caught up on quantity. Matter of fact, I look for quality. I literally look back and say, God, these letters that I've written is literally a blueprint to what I desire. So when I meet a woman, it don't take a long time for me to assess and discern if that's my wife or not. I liken it to an episode I did one day, and I was interviewing this lady named Siobhan and her husband Cheyenne. Mm-hmm. And while she was talking, tears started streaming down my face. And this was about a couple of years ago because God revealed to me the sound of a wife. Mm. This is this other man's wife sitting right there and they're talking, but I started crying. She said, why are you crying? I said, I can't compromise having a woman of God. And then she said, you don't have to. What's wrong? Because in my mind, in that season, I said, maybe what I desire, I'm looking for too much. And too much was it was basic. It was just literally, I want a woman that has the heart posture of God. A woman that when I'm in my moments of weariness, when I'm in these moments where I'm trying to figure out the next move, that she'll be able to put her hand on my shoulder and say, babe, you got this, and begin to pray for me. That, I want a woman that is aligned with me in purpose, where the decision shouldn't have to be made with, do I choose love or do I choose my purpose? Right. Because that's what you had to choose. If it's the person that God, and that's what I don't like, is that sometimes it becomes a question of, do I choose my lover slash husband, wife, or do I choose my dreams? If it's your husband or spouse, you can do them both. It's like, it's no such thing as I have to choose this or this. And
Facts. Facts. It's that simple, bro. And fellas, that's why if a woman is for you, bro, she will get on your team and she will try to make your life so much better. Whatever you're doing, she's gonna come in and see how best she can help you. But when you're with a bird, she been with her boyfriend since college. She didn't care about that man. While she was with him, she was thinking about her out. She was trying to get on radio. Why? Because she want to be around stars. She want to be in the game. And that's why as a man, you got to pay attention to a woman's energy, bro. What is she driven to? Where is she heading? What is her interest? You got to pay attention to these things, bro. These things matters. Because in all reality, fellas, bro, I'm telling y'all, fam, if you come across a quality woman, bro, she's gonna uplift your life so much, bro. It's gonna be like a rude awakening. See what I'm saying? It's like you're gonna see the light because you will see the difference between a woman and a bird. A bird don't care about you. A bird don't care about what you got going on in life. A bird don't care about your purpose. A woman who is for you, fam, she will always try her best to support your purpose, fam. Trust.
that's what I believe is the disconnect, is that it's set up as a choice. And so so I'm looking for that, because yes, in certain situations you can date somebody and they may be not aligned because you may live in one area and they live in another area and neither one of y'all are willing to move or whatever. Well, unless y'all gonna have a long distance marriage, that's not gonna work. But as two mature adults, you have to be able to say, you know what, this ain't gonna work before it gets 5 years in, before it gets to an engagement. Those conversations should be had early on in the assessment, in the interview phase. Before you get a job, they take you through an interview. Whether you lie and say that you believe in building with this company and retiring from that company, you know you lying when you're saying that. Or if you're saying, no, I really want to work here for 1 year because I'm going to quit and go be an entrepreneur after that year. Well, you lied at the interview, but you told them what they want to hear. When you're dating somebody, all I'm looking for is for people to show up as their authentic self so I can assess whether or not this is a person for me and this is a person I can build legacy with. And so sometimes, yeah, what you're saying is that, yes, a whole lot of selection. Absolutely. Sometimes that is overwhelming. But the reality is that my heart is fashioned in hearing what God wants me to hear in the sound of this woman. And that ain't gonna take me long. That's why I started being even more intentional verbally of saying, I will be married by the end of this year. And if I'm not married by the end of this year, there will be a ring on some woman's finger by the end of this year that she will be my wife in 2026, period. Because that's what I mean. Sometimes people look at it as, oh, you have all these options, and I can flip it back on you. Couldn't you get married if you want to?
Absolutely. But you know, I was listening to you. This is good because this is why when you asked me, I was talking about like, I don't know, because I take marriage so seriously. Like it's not a game. And I feel like,
Bro, this woman is so full of shit, bro. Like for real. How can you take marriage seriously when you had a good man in your life, in the prime of your life, your prime? After you left college, you had a good man who was prepared to start a family with you. He got a good career. But you left that for the streets. But now you're probably in your 40s. Now you're saying that you take marriage seriously. The one man who tried to save you, you played him. But now, when you're past your prime and you are trying to promote your little bird shows, you take marriage seriously. Wow.
A lot of women, if you understood what you are giving and offering as a wife, when a guy shows you he don't deserve that, you wouldn't cry. Because to me, there's nothing higher than an honor than saying, I'm going to be your wife. Because what I'm saying is, everything is second to you.
Facts.
Everything is second to you. You have to deserve, you have to earn that.
Absolutely.
What happens is women show up for men as wives and they not even your boyfriend.
Absolutely.
Like he's not even reliable. And you got to stop giving out these wifely benefits to men, because this is why men don't want to become husbands, because they get husband treatments without even being your boyfriend.
That part.
But the truth of a wife to me is the highest honor. I'm going to stand by your side through sickness and health. You know, when you're wrong, I'm not going to shame you in front of the world. I'm going to suppress myself if it means to ignite you to a different, exalt you. I'm going to move and fashion my whole entire life around you, because I do believe that's what a wife should do. But I feel as though a man has to earn that. And
let me be clear, bro. It's impossible for a woman like this to know what a wife is supposed to do. It's impossible. Trust me. She don't have what it takes on the inside to be a wife. Okay? And here's the reality. It's not that men are not trying to make these women their wives. These women are not wifey material. And a real man see right through it. Why would you turn a bird into a wife? It ain't got nothing to do with the fact that she's doing, I guess, wife duties. Like, what is that? What is wife duties? Right? But in all reality, a man is not going to marry a woman unless he feels like she should be his wife. You can't fake that feeling. You can't. Now, there are some men who marry women based on lust, right? Because they probably been dried up, or they probably never had an ass that fat, or they never had some pussy that good. So they get married out of lust, which is never a good thing, because then that bird eventually going to return back to the streets. But trust me, men are not wifing women up who don't deserve to be wives. That's just the reality.
what's happening is, going back to the Cinderella story, every man doesn't deserve a wife. You know, and every man and every woman doesn't necessarily deserve a husband, because again, are you willing to make that sacrifice for that man? Are you willing to say, I'm going to put this job aside because this doesn't work for my husband? I have so many friends that are married, and some have been married for years. And I have watched the valleys. Like, there's moments when the husband was doing better, but then he lost his job. So then my friend had to step up and had to do like I don't want, again, I have to be conscious of other people's personal business, but I saw her had to step up in ways to hold down the family, because that's what the dynamic required.
Absolutely.
Because their family trumps everything. And I think if we go back to that foundation, you will realize there's not a lot of people that really qualify to be your husband or your wife. Dating, you can date forever. Like, there's that supply is limitless, to be quite honest. But your husband, a wife, I don't really feel as though there's a lot of options. I do think finances have changed this a lot, though, because see, a man, he'll date a girl who's a waitress at Applebee's or the corporate lawyer, right?
Right.
Because it's like, we're just going on a date. They make it kind of simple. Women, if you're not the corporate lawyer, I don't even want to go on the date with you.
Yep.
And that guy who is attractive, has money, you know, now he's connected via social media. I always say, like, back in the day, there was this, God, Waterbury, I will live in Waterbury, Connecticut. There was this guy called Michael Chapman, and he was like the finest guy in high school, and all the girls wanted him. So imagine this now with social media.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now it's the finest man in the whole world is at his oasis. So I just feel
A
like,
click away.
yeah, it's almost, and I'm gonna get a lot of flack, but I do, without the intimacy, women, you got to start dating like men to a certain degree. Just go on a coffee date.
No, I say that. So you're aligned with what I talk about in my podcast. I say, and some people, women be like, I can't do that. I say, get used to dating multiple men. I
Yes.
said date multiple men. I didn't say sleep with multiple men, but would you ever just go put your application or your resume in at one job? You're going to put it in with a whole lot of, sometimes you can get a headhunter that they go put your stuff out with a whole lot of people and they say, hey, now you got interviews. And you sit down and you're talking to different people and different companies and saying, oh, I like this. What's the benefits package? Oh, I like this. I like that. I don't see any areas of growth in this company. And then you don't accept the job offer. Do you go to?
All right, look, we got to stop the nonsense, bro. Look, here's the reality, fam. When a woman is a quality woman, she ain't got to date multiple men. Like, do y'all understand what a quality woman is? Like, when she get around a dude will be engulfed by her aura, by her presence. It's something about her when she walk in a room, she governs that room. The reality is this, bro. A wifey material woman is rare. A woman who's wifey material is rare. That's just the bottom line. We are surrounded by a bunch of Kendra G's out here. In all reality, we are surrounded by a bunch of birds. So, of course, you could tell a bird, yo, date multiple dudes because, shorty, that's kind of like your destiny. Your destiny in life is going to be just dating men because you are who you are. You chose the streets. And this is why I tell you all dudes all the time, bro. You got to pay attention to what a woman does in her prime. When she's 22, 23, 24, 25, those prime years of her life. Is she chasing a husband or is she chasing the streets? If she chose the streets, she will be forever for the streets. That's why she left her husband after college. Fellas, the signs are always there. Now she's probably in her 40s or 50s. No husband, no kids, no family, but she's pushing a platform for birds. And I keep telling you all, bro, birds of a feather flock together. If a woman is hosting a show where birds could come on there and demand a man who is making six figures, even though they don't deserve a man like that, trust me, the host of that show is probably a bird too. A bird will always be able to host other birds. But a virtuous woman, she's going to have a hard time hosting a show with birds because the energies don't align. And that's just the reality, man. And this is why I tell you all dudes all the time, you got to pay attention, bro. The signs are always there. And if everything about a woman is fake on the outside, best believe she's going to be fake on the inside. And a woman like this, bro, she's going to be forever chasing the streets. And me personally, fam, I can't take her serious, especially after I saw this video. what yo, imagine him shooting in a hospital interview with and the baby's coming out. Fellas, again, focus on yourself. That's what it is.